Hello everyone, so for this video I am going to talk about some of my 5-star reading recommendations. I went on my Goodreads last night and I had a scan through some of the books that I've given 5 stars to. There's actually not that many, and I was looking through and there were some that I gave 5 stars to at the time and I was like, no, that's definitely not a 5-star now, so I did get rid of some. So here's some books I gave 5 stars to hopefully give you some reading recommendations. So the first one I've got is this one, Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. I remember when this came out, it was super popular, but I didn't really think that I would like it. It's basically about Shakespeare's family. He sort of left them behind to pursue his career in writing, and they never really get a mention. You never really hear about his family, but this is all about his family life. It doesn't really mention Shakespeare at all. He's never mentioned by name. So this book is really a focus just on his family. And this book broke my heart. It's one of the very few books that have made me cry. I don't know if I've just got a heart of stone, but not many books make me cry. But I was reading this one and the way it talks about grief really resonated with me. And I think Maggie O'Farrell just writes so beautifully. And that coupled with how she writes about grief just got me in. It really got me in the feels. I feel like Maggie O'Farrell is really good at articulating those inner feelings I didn't even know I had in a way, or I would never be able to describe them myself. But then when she was writing it and I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so, I don't know, seen and heard. And I feel like I've never really heard anyone talk about grief in the way that she does, that resonated with me so much. So I love this book. I thought it was so beautifully written. I loved hearing about their family. And I just thought, yeah, I thought it was so amazing. So yes, I gave this one 5 stars and I really recommend it so much. So my second 5-star book is this one. It's Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. And when I first read this book, I was like, I'm not feeling this book. I don't know what's going on. I've got no idea. I had to keep rereading the pages, but I still wouldn't understand what was going on. So I was like, oh, I'm not really feeling it. But you have to persevere, because slowly but surely the world is built around you, and I just think it makes for such a satisfying book. The twist in this book was so satisfying. I was racing through this book to try and find out what had happened, and I absolutely loved it. So I think with this book you really have to persevere with it. At the beginning you might be a bit like, what is going on? But the fact that you don't know what's going on at the beginning just makes the sort of middle and end so much sweeter. I know a lot of people have said they don't want to tell people what this book is about at all because that sort of ruins it, and I completely agree. So I won't say much more on the plot, but just know that this book is amazing. And yeah, I gave this one 5 stars. I really loved it. It's such a weird little wacky book with such a satisfying plot twist. So definitely recommend this one. Then my third book that I gave 5 stars to is this one. It's The Trees by Percival Everett. I won't go too much into detail about this one because I went into a lot of detail about it in my last reading vlog. So if you want to hear more about it, go and watch that one. But I really love this book a lot. It's sort of a murder mystery, whodunit type book, but done in a sort of satirical type way, discussing racism and Southern America. And it was just, yeah, honestly amazing. But if you want to hear more about it, go and watch my last reading vlog where I talk about this in more detail. But I just absolutely love this book so much. So my 4th book I don't actually have with me, but it's in non-fiction. It's called Stasiland by Anna Funder. And she goes and sort of interviews and speaks to people to hear about their experience with the Berlin Wall. I found this book absolutely heartbreaking. I think she conveys the just horrendous brutality of East Germany at the time. It really stuck with me so much, and when I was reading it and for a long time after, I just could not stop thinking about it. It was absolutely heartbreaking, and I love how she finds different people's stories and experiences to merge them together to create this really rich story and narrative of just how horrendous East Berlin was at the time. I just loved it. I thought it was so readable and just a good book to read. So yeah, I love this book a lot. I think it was probably one of the best non-fiction books I've ever read. So I definitely recommend giving it a read for sure. And then my final book that I have given 5 stars to, this isn't all of them by the way, this is just a selection of ones I picked. There actually wasn't much more, but yeah, this is the ones I thought I would recommend to you. So this is the final one. It's East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I read this quite recently. I read it this month and I really loved it. It's a family saga. It's hefty book. It's about two families and their whole lives set in America. It feels very epic, which I love. I loved the characters, Sam and Cal. They were my favourites. I think this book has the best villain I've ever read about. I can't remember ever despising a villain so much, but that's such a testament to John Steinbeck's writing. I think it's a classic that everyone should read. Obviously, it was published in the 1950s, so some of it's a bit of its time, but I just think overall it was an amazing book, and it didn't feel, although it was so long, it didn't feel too long. I loved reading about the whole lifespan of these families, and I grew so attached to them that I sort of missed them when I wasn't reading about them anymore. So yeah, I love this book, and that's why I gave it 5 stars. So they're all the books that I recommend to you. I'm sure there'll be many more in the coming months. I think I'm actually reading a 5-star book at the moment for sure, but I've not finished it yet, so I didn't want to include it. But thank you so much for watching. I hope my 5-star books have given you some new recommendations and new books to add to your list to read. So thank you very much for watching.